Greetings, dear ones. Happy Friday. Greetings, dear ones. Happy Friday, the 12th of June. Very hard to believe we are already almost in the middle of June. But the heat we've had the past few days is certainly telling towards that, and we are moving towards the summer solstice on the 21st. So much going on, so much shifting and moving and changing. And so many are feeling that the change is either dangerous or very destructive, or that we're all just heading for disaster. And my information and what I'm seeing both on the planet and from off the planet from my sources is that we are exactly in line with the perfect timing for an accelerated evolutionary leap to take place, and we're right in the middle of it. And I often cite, when I was living in Texas, in Houston, years ago, Texas has a very very strong feelings about football. And for many, many years, the focus was on creating teams in schools, etc., with less emphasis or concern about the scholastics, particularly of those star players. So they would pass them on through to be able to play football and win for the team without requiring the testing and without requiring them to pass tests and fulfill their obligation academically. And they passed a law that was called No Pass, No Play. And what that meant was that if the student did not pass their academic courses, they could not play football. And this, wow, there was such repercussion. So many people were up in arms. And, the students that were caught in the middle of that, in other words, they were the ones that were in high school years or in junior high school and had already been on the team, etc., and had been passed through many grades, were the ones that really suffered. The ones that came behind them, they were required to meet the academic standards, and so they were not going to feel the brunt of that. Those that had already gone through or were at the very tail end of their high school were not going to actually feel the suffering of it as well. And I cite that instance because it is very much what we are experiencing right here and now. We're in the midst of, so those people who are here, you, who have chosen to be here at this particular time, have done so for a very, very specific reason. And I really want you to recognize and acknowledge and honor and respect the choice to be here, present, to be a part of, however much or however little you participate. It is not about producing, it is about presencing. And you simply being here on the planet as who you are, with all of your wonderful gifts and abilities, knowledge, accomplishments, connections, family, etc., as well as all of your foibles and apparent mistakes and wrong choices, or being paralyzed and not acting, whether in your own life or in, the more politically charged scene. It doesn't make any difference. Your presence here counts. no matter what, if you never did another thing in your life from this day forward, you will have accomplished what you came here to do, which was be here now. And I really, really feel, however, those souls, those people who want to participate and who feel so called to um, do what they feel they came here to do. And I was working with a group last night, and that was an overwhelming sensation, was the wanting and needing to do something. And I find that, I grew up in activism in California, peace marches. Um, Constantly, I was going door to door to get petitions signed. We changed laws. We saw things enacted. It was a wonderful basis to grow up in, a wonderful experience. And that is a wonderful way to take part. But it isn't the only way to take part. And I really encourage you to hear, or when you are made aware of certain uh, problems, certain aspects of our planet that are being negatively affected, destroyed, undermined, to actively connect with that location or even that subject matter within you. For example, all of the protests that have been going on and continue to go on with apparently a basis in race, in discrimination, in brutality. We all have, on an individual basis, in this very life, experienced some level of that. When you're a child and you have no power and no control over the adults in your life that are making the decisions, and you are absolutely trapped in that, you know what it feels like to have no voice. You know what it feels like to be discounted. You know what it feels like um, to be dismissed or disrespected or devalued. However wonderful your childhood seemed to be, there were moments when this was taking place, whether on an emotional, mental, spiritual, or even an energetic basis. So when you can find that sensation within you and really work with it, process it, feel it, get to know it, and do what you can to change it. Yes, initially that may be cognitively and behaviorally, and that's enough to keep from continuing that behavior, those thoughts, those feelings, which all have an impact on our world. You may not be physically enacting those sensations, but it may be in a thought, it may be in a negligence, it may be in, oh my goodness, I can't even deal with that, or the anger that you feel towards those who are committing um, actions, atrocities, what have you. So, in this subtle and very, very sensitive situation that we're in on Earth right now, where things are really beginning to be felt, not just thought about, but felt. We are being, quote unquote, made to feel by what is occurring through the shutdowns, by what is occurring in the protests, what is occurring in our government, what is occurring in our local areas. So please do what you can to tune in on whatever level you can. Um, and particularly locations. Right now, according to sidereal astrology, we are being affected by so many different constellations and stars within those constellations, one of them being Indus, which indicates being a steward of a sacred place or a sacred land, a special place or a sacred land. And it, when you hear something in the news or read something, you have the ability to actually feel into that place, those animals, that aspect of nature, that um, level of environment, excuse me, and almost take it under your wing. Maybe it's for a day, maybe it's for a week, but actually connecting in, finding out everything you can about that particular place. For me, the past week or so, um, Alaska and the Arctic has been very, very apparent for me. Of course, there's a lot in the news. There was a huge Arctic spill by Russian oil company. Um, the administration in Washington just implemented a law permitting hunters to go in and kill bears and wolves within their den. In other words, to kill the cubs, which is utterly brutal. We're looking at brutality. There are many, many ways that brutality shows up, this being one of them. Um, of course, the Amazon continues to burn, and the indigenous peoples there are being affected by the decrease in their land, in their resources, and that's limiting or possibly eliminating their culture. And yet, on the other hand, we have wonderful instances of renewable energy investment around the world from a lot of undeveloped countries, or considered undeveloped countries, more so than the developed countries. And we have, again, innovations in um, countries with their environment and the preservation of areas where certain animals are. So if you look, you can find this. World Economic Forum is a great resource. Um, EcoWatch does cite primarily the problems in the world, but also some of the solutions. Um, there's on Bloomberg News, there's a Green Watch page, which constantly is updating every moment of the different ways in which the environment is being affected. And also, again, where changes are being made. Everything is up for reset, renewal, redesign. And I encourage you to bring your energy, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic energy to the ways in which we are moving forward. We see that economically there are huge, how can I say it, deconstruction of the basis of economy in petroleum, natural gas, and coal. These are non-renewable sources. We actually do not know how a long-term effect, even though it's been occurring for the past 100 years or more, of pulling out those resources from the earth, and in the instance of petroleum, filling it back with water. How is that affecting the balance in nature and the cycle of life? So again, Indus, the star within a constellation that is very prominent at this point in time, gives us the ability to be sensitive to locations and sacred sites, power places. So pick somewhere, or maybe it's a land mass, or maybe it's a landscape. Perhaps you are more aligned with forests at this point in time. You see things on Facebook or reports come to you. be very, very, very aware of how things come to you. It is no accident. Your soul and your helpers, guides, teachers, masters are giving you opportunities when and as you open your receptivity to what is appearing for you. And again, that information can come in a myriad of ways. It can be by articles or television shows or flipping channels or conversations you hear or um, even, images that pop across your computer, or you hear people mentioning, or you see a t-shirt with an animal or a frog or a location. All of these are attempts to reach you. And the more you are able to feel yourself, the more you are able to feel and receive the information in symbolic form or synchronous form. So I'm very much encouraging everyone to allow Indus to lead you to your particular power place at this point in time. And again, that can change day to day. Years ago, when I really began my earth work, whatever it was, 20 years ago, specializing in earth keeping, although, of course, throughout my life I had been doing so with less knowledge and less focus. I would sit before my meditation and take a globe and literally close my eyes and spin it and stop with my finger. And that would be the location that not only I'm choosing to work with, but that the earth was reaching out to me. And I would receive validation, a part of the world that I never hear about or that I didn't even know the name of. And suddenly, within the next 24 to 48 hours, there was a news blip, or someone mentioned that country, or a magazine would arrive with an article in it about that particular place on the earth. So it's a wonderful back and forth between you and the earth, you and your wider self, you and your guides and teachers and masters. And you can receive that validation and confirmation. And the odds, when you look at the odds of the validation coming in, it just not only blows your mind, but absolutely affirms that you are accompanied, that you are seen, heard, felt, valued, respected, honored, because you can see the evidence. It is right here for all of us. So I'm going to be transmitting today and some energetics of, particularly, what I heard this morning was equilibrium and poise, because so many people are seemingly being toppled from their base or from their grounding or from their foundations. For the foundations of society, the foundations of humanity are being shook up or shaken up. So it is not surprising that we're feeling that internally. I encourage all of you, I am going to be instigating some daily guidance, some weekly groups, or rather gatherings, and some reads for people. So look ahead for that. It's kind of like a membership thing where you can get information and access to my work, access to the current reads. I've found that trying to summarize in a monthly newsletter with all that's going on right now is just too, it's impossible. So I'm breaking it down to daily, weekly, these recordings included. So Look for that. And if you are feeling the force of the evolutionary changes that are taking place and it's creating great turmoil and tumult and chaos within your being or within your life, please give me a call. I am doing a lot of financial either arrangements or sliding scale or reduction of fees because so many of us are going through so much right now and we've all been affected financially. So if that's an issue, please do not let it be the issue. I will work with you for doing individual transformation and transmutation work. Is there anything else I wanted to bring in? No, I guess while we are dropping in some of the helpers and energetics that have been presenting themselves over the past few days will be named. And if you're here live, I invite you to comment and let me know what anything that you've been noticing or any animals or particular aspects of Earth or locations have been present for you or coming to you. So right now, what I'd invite you to do is to please sit firmly on whatever you are seated on, couch, a chair, the floor. I encourage you to find a firm or fairly firm surface versus kind of being on your bed, for example, because once you're able to find your sit bones, which are, if you feel with your hand right in the middle of your buttocks, you will notice a hard, kind of pointy bone. That is your sit bone. And if you can situate yourself on your sits bones, sometimes it helps to just kind of grab a little bit of tissue on the side of your leg and just shift it out to the side a little bit, which exposes those sit bones a little bit more. Having your feet flat on the floor. And I encourage you for at least the first few minutes of the practice to keep your eyes open, downward, soft if you want, but just at least a tiny slit open, because the practice that I teach is not the typical meditation practice where you tend to go upwards and outwards, leaving your body. That tradition or spiritual practice is too part of an old way. Now and for quite some time, it has been to have the practice in and through you, because you are such a vital part, a vital point in this evolutionary process. And to be in your vehicle, in your vessel, and to be then able to travel or connect to the energetics that are just right for you and those that are present in our world and on an energetic basis is key for your own personal redesign reset, as well as a planetary redesign reset. So find your sits bones, firmly plant yourself on the chair or couch with your feet on the floor. If you feel to take some breaths, I encourage you to do so by inhaling through your nose, pausing, and then exhaling through your mouth. I like a count of 4. I find that easy for people to begin with. And as you move further into your practice, then even extending the inhale and extending the pause in between, and certainly extending the exhale so that we're not doing but really slowly allowing the air to come in and fill you, pausing to feel your body in that moment and your breath, and then exhaling, allowing it to leave the body and feeling the process of the air leaving. So again, keeping your eyes open, little slits. You can keep them down and soft if you like. And for many years, I have found it helps if you are to say either to yourself or out loud, I am asking and I am allowing my body. I am asking and I am allowing my energy field. I am asking and I am allowing my wider self. I am asking and I am allowing my guides and teachers and masters. I am asking and I am allowing all aspects of me. I am asking and I am allowing all times of me, all to join me here and now, assisting, guiding, leading me down and in to me. For as you practice this flowing down or following down, coming down and inside of you, you will experience the safety and security of being you in your body, in your vessel, in your vehicle, in your temple. And from there, you may travel, experience, encounter, receive on a much deeper basis. For it is then a felt or sensated experience of you and wherever or whatever you are most connected to at this point in time. For when we go through the mind, we are narrowing or limiting our ability to be connected through our wider self and other existences, experiences, companions, teachers that are here and available to us. We are opening to them meeting us. For it leaves us a wider reception for that meeting. So again, maybe a breath if you feel to, a couple of breaths. If not, simply sensate your body as your energy field and your wider self are guiding, assisting, leading, or simply doing it for you. For they know exactly the right way, the right pace, the right avenue, the right configuration of you for your optimum felt experience. And as always, we have particular helpers that come in when I'm working with a group. So I now call in and call upon Mikhail for the absolute physical protection and safety of each person in this practice. I call in and call upon the mothers, allowing for a compassionate and nurturing experience. I call upon and call in Andreu, helping each one listening, whether in the present or in the future, to discern, to surrender and trust your wider self, your guides and teachers and masters, and as always, I call in Francis of Assisi, who truly knew and taught and lived the recognition, acknowledgement, and love of every tiny aspect of this planet, knowing that each held divinity, expressed divinity, was an expression of divinity. I call upon Lady Gaia to roll each of us deeply into the earth and the earth of us. I call upon the elementals to put in right relationship the earth, air, fire, and water of each one, listening in the present or who will listen in the future. And I call upon masters that oversee our electrical grids, our magnetic grids, and electromagnetic grids within our bodies, within our fields, to clear, align, and set in the exact right configuration for you at this time. I call in and call upon the ancients, a council of intergalactic masters, to show, teach, guide, and remind each one who they truly are. I call in and call upon the Master Gatekeeper to open all doors, portals, and passageways that can in any way benefit those listening, and to close tightly all doors, portals, and passageways that can in any way cause harm. and that all may be done under the auspices of the Supreme Council of Universal Spiritual Law, in conjunction with the Great Earth Council that represents every being, every species, every aspect of this planet, and that they be in accord with the great dreamers as we all dream in a new way. And I invite each of you to put into this sacred geometric configuration which is being formed any location or aspect of this earth, humanity, our culture, animals, the climate, anything that you are concerned about, anything that touches your heart. And very present the past few days has been the animal teacher frog, which represents so many things. Cleansing, as we each go through our own cleansing process of that which is old and not beneficial. And the frog also represents the ability to live in two different environments, that of the water and that of the land. And in this practice, it is about being able to be in and as a human in physical form, as well as being an energetic and spiritual being, and the way in which we can move fluidly and easily back and forth, that we need not isolate only quote unquote meditation or practice time to be able to transmit and connect to our energetic and spiritual bodies, but instead throughout our day, moving constantly back and forth by tuning in to our innate slowing down. One of the beautiful benefits of the shut down or stay at home is the slowing down of our lives, slowing down of our physical daily movement. For when we are speeding, we tend not to feel ourselves, the other, the earth, the animals. And again, if there's been any animal teachers or insects that have been present for you, I invite you to call upon them, call them in, for they play a role in this moment as well. And again, you may begin to feel kind of fuzzy or sleepy. That's quite all right and very much a part of your dropping deeper in and through you into different states of consciousness or altered states, which allows you to receive and to experience on a much deeper level than simply using your consciousness or your third eye or your sight. So let go of the need to see or make sense of or figure out what you may be experiencing, and simply experience it. If you've ever ridden any carnival rides or rides at Six Flags, you simply ride them. You do not analyze or try to figure out what's making them move and go as you are experiencing the ride. Trust your energy field, your wider self. They know exactly what, where, how, and at what pace is exactly right for you. Craggy, pointy mountains has also been presencing themselves this week. And that is a very particular type of mountain. Nothing you need do with that, just know it is part of the mix, the alchemical blending of energetics here for the benefit of you individually and all those that may be listening, participating now or at any future point. Cosmic energies of stars, which is quite different than planets or other bodies in the cosmos. again, nothing you need to do. Simply allow. Simply ride. Simply be here. You're doing that with your presence. It is not easy being human by any means. But it is an experience like none other in the universe. For everywhere is represented, everywhere in the universe is represented here on this tiny, tiny planet. For it is one of multi-existences and multi-realities. For each one that is here brings the sum total of your soul experiences. All the dimensions, worlds, realms you may have visited or are aligned with, and the accumulated knowledge, abilities, skills that you have garnered and gleaned from those experiences. You are all that and more. And in that knowing, you may feel the poise and equilibrium that comes with eons of experience. Perhaps millennia here on this planet, if this is one of your specializations. Which, if you are here at this point in time, is pretty much a sure thing. For this is the culmination of thousands of years of exploration and accumulated knowledge of the form of separation that has been this planet's experience, agenda. But which, in this very moment, is in a process of evolving to a very different exploration of a new level of polarity. Not the primitive, primal form that we have explored ad infinitum. So allowing yourself to revel in this breadth and depth and width of you. Receiving the honoring, respect, and admiration of so many others involved in this graduation of our species. And taking another minute or so before the process of integration begins. In this process of integration, there is nothing you need do, nothing you need know, nothing to do whatsoever. It is merely allowing your energy field, your wider self, to lead you, bring you, guide you at the exact right pace and process for you. Some people experience it as a rotating, some as a floating, some as a bubbling up, some like a plane landing. Whatever your experience is, it is exactly right for you. Allow it to occur. Do not push yourself back. Do not force yourself back. For in that process, you are able to experience the physical and the non-physical flowing back and forth in you as you. And in this way, this practicing of you being your human self, your energetic self, connected to wherever is most right for you at this time. This is a very gentle process, a very organic process. Please allow, allow, allow. And as you feel that it is exactly right for you, please notice when your body wants to open its eyes. And please have some water. And I encourage you to drink water throughout today and tomorrow. Do not underestimate the amount of energetic experience and shifting and cleansing that just occurred. So, thank you so much for being here. This will be posted on the Healers Universe page, and as well as on a Healers Universe channel of YouTube, where you can find the past 6 months of Facebook Fridays, each with a different energetic being transmitted. So I encourage you to do so. It's usually the second half where we're dropping into the practice. And as always, it is with much gratitude, much admiration, and much honor for your presence and participation in this world at this point in time that I leave you. Be well in all ways. Bye-bye.